So, I'm out the shower, fresh shave, ain't got no loose hair on me or nothing like that. But I was just thinking, you know, with it being November, my daughter's birthday's right around the corner, like literally right around the corner. And it sucks because somebody hit our car a couple weeks ago, and we had to get a rental because the repair was going to be about it's been 2 weeks now, and our car should be done tomorrow. But it didn't come at the most awkward time. I mean, not necessarily awkward, because things happen. People getting in wrecks, other people not paying no attention. You never know what kind of day they're having, whatever the case or situation is, so I can't really be mad. I mean, I am, but I'm not raging mad because, like I said, things happen, and we don't know what that lady was going through, what was on her mind when she hit our car. Things happen, like I said. But the fact that we had to come out with $1,000 for the deductible, and then that put us behind on other bills, not to mention on us being able to get what we want for our daughter. She's about to be 14. She's not a materialistic person. She's happy with the simplest things. It's just the fact that, me and her mom had plans for her 14th birthday, but those plans got put on hold because we had other financial obligations that we were having to deal with, and that just kind of put us behind on being able to do what we want for Danny on her birthday, as well as being able to make sure that we can pay for our other bills and stuff. But it's life. Things happen. We can't change that. We can't prevent it. Regardless of what we're doing, who we are, where we are, things happen. Us as individuals and people, we are learned and taught to deal with things. Sometimes certain things you can try to prevent, but other things that you have no control over, that's just it. There's nothing you can do about that. And hopefully, after we get our car back, it won't be too much longer before we're able to get things back in. Excuse me. Before we're able to get things back in order, of being on time and being able to pay bills without any situations or anything like that, because there's so much that we need to do and that we want to do, but we're unable to because of the financial situation and the instability that we're having with work, bills, the car wreck, inflation. Inflation is when you're going to the grocery store to go buy groceries and you're looking at the hamburger meat, which 9 times out of 10, it's not real hamburger meat, but they're still charging $6, $7, $8 per pound. That's a lot of money for 1 pound of hamburger meat. On top of having to figure out what you're going to do with the hamburger meat. If you're going to make sloppy joes, hamburgers, spaghetti, you got to buy everything else to go with it. So depending on what you're cooking for dinner or for that meal, for one meal, you're going to be spending $20, $30, unless you're just going to go on a ramen noodle diet, which is unhealthy as fuck. I don't care what kind of budget you're on, but your health is important. If you're not taking care of your health, everything else is irrelevant, because you need to be able to take care of yourself. And if we're putting all this poison and this food that's made in a lab or a factory, not grown, not brought up, the food's not born nor hatched, like, you have to sit there and question what's going on. Being a father, that's one thing I do, because it's not just myself that I have to think about. I have to think about my kid. I love my daughter, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for her, regardless of what that is, if the time situation ever came. Most fathers probably understand that. It's a state of mind that you have to be in, at all times, being a parent. And being a parent, there's no breaks for us. There's no pause. There's no time out and continue later on when you feel like it. For me, it was never like that. From the time that I knew that my girl was pregnant, I was going to be a father, to the day she was born. She was born with bilateral cleft lip and cleft palate. So she had to have 10 surgeries before the age of 10. Let me rephrase that. By the age of 4, she had already had 10 surgeries, between multiple tubes being put in her ears. She had stents put in her eyes because one of her eye ducts isn't open that much, so a tear duct got infected and caused her eye to swell up really bad. It's a bunch of nonsense that she's had to deal with and endure, but I guess you can say that was God's plan. God has his plan. He's always had his plan, and it's up to us to go along and do what we can with what resources we have. And there's only so much that certain people can do because of their financial status, or their health status, or mental status, or whatever status that they got going on. And my daughter being about to be 14, in this life, with the economy that we got going on right now, it's rough. It's really rough. And there's a lot that scares me with what's going on with my daughter. Not necessarily with what's going on with her, but with what she's going to have to deal with, especially later on when, that time comes and me and her mom are no longer here. God willing, that's going to be a while. We can't change what's going to happen. All we can do is do what we can for ourselves, for our kids, to make sure that we're in the right state of mind and financially stable and all these things, because that's what we're supposed to do. But not all things are like that. Not everybody is like that. People want to do what they want to do when they can. To each his own. We can't tell each other what to do and how to live our life. Even though we do. But I'm sorry, I've got this loose hair that's been right here by my hair, or by my eye. That was kind of tickling my eye. I had to get it. But I'm not gonna say I'm over it, but things can be overwhelming. Being a parent, worrying about what's going on in the world, worrying about what kind of life your child is going to have to endure, or what resources she's gonna have available to her as she gets older. What kind of lifestyle is she going to be living in? Is it going to be a digital currency, digital ID? Are there aliens going to be here? I'm not talking about illegal aliens. I'm talking about the other ones. Man, Like, being a parent is rewarding, but it's scary at the same time because you only want what's best for your kid. And, well, what's best for my kid is is unknown because of the unknown life she's going to have as she gets older because of the where our economy is going. You know, it's if it's not one thing, it's another. You know, they they stop people from getting their SNAP benefits, and we was one of them. And you know, it's been rough. Luckily, we have um, food pantries that we can go to. Not all of them, because a lot of them they're out because a lot of people that were affected by losing their SNAP benefits. And even though the government came to a conclusion or an agreement and they're supposed to be opening back up, there's still a halt on sending out SNAP benefits. It's public knowledge. You can look that up. It's the news. I read that this morning. You know, I was expecting to get mine here tomorrow, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it, and not knowing when we will get it, if we will get it. You know, the things that was odd to me about with what's going on with SNAP benefits is, you know, I live in public housing too, and there was no pause on the benefits that were going out to pay for people's living or pay for their KUB, just their SNAP benefits, the benefits that they use to feed themselves and feed their kids. Why is that? Why did we have the government shut down and they held off SNAP benefits, but the benefits that's paying for people's housing and their electricity, that still went out? I'm guessing because nobody got evicted that we know of. In my apartments, nobody got evicted. Nobody got a note about having to leave, or their rent not being paid, or their KUB not getting paid. I didn't get no letter, but I got a text message saying that we won't be getting our SNAP benefits. Why is that? I don't know. It's just something that I was thinking about, and it's something that others should be thinking about. You know, it's not math, but when you add these things together, something's not right. It's more than just us not getting our benefits. It's way more than that. You know, it's everything on top of us not getting our benefits. This 3-eye atlas thing headed towards Earth. We have multiple congressmen and women that moved on to military bases in fear for their life for whatever reason. There's a lot of stuff going on, and they're not letting the public know. The people don't know. The only reason why we do know the stuff that we do know is from the little information that's leaked, or the information that they will allow us to have. You know, it's like the places that they're not able to post their news, the news outlets, journalists, and everything like that. They can't interview or post news about anything unless the government approves of it. Why is that? That don't make no sense. So when you're sitting here and you're thinking about life and what's going on, there's a whole lot more going on than we realize. So y'all stay awake and stay aware out there.